بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أود بداية أن أرحب بالجميع في وزارة الخارجية، وكما يسعدني أن أرحب بزميلي وصديقي السيد بوريس جونسون وزير خارجية بريطانيا في أول زيارة له للمملكة العربية السعودية. اجتمع صباح اليوم مع سيدي خالد محمد الشريفين الملك سلمان بن عبد العزيز، وكما اجتمع مع سيدي صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير محمد بن نايف ولي العهد نائب رئيس مجلس وزراء وزير الداخلية، وسيجتمع بعد ظهر اليوم مع سيدي صاحب السمو الملكي ولي العهد. كانت الاجتماعات مثمرة وبناءة، وهذا لا يستغرب فيما حيث أن العلاقات السعودية البريطانية علاقات تاريخية تمتد جذورها على مدى أكثر من 100 عام. هناك تعاون أمني وتعاون عسكري، تنسيق سياسي، هناك تعاون اقتصادي، هناك تعاون تعليمي بين البلدين، وهناك عدد كبير من مواطنين البلدين يقوموا بزيارات أو مقيمين، أما بريطانيين في المملكة أو سعوديين في بريطانيا. فيما يتعلق بالاجتماع مع معاليه اليوم، بحثنا التعاون الاستراتيجي بين البلدين، بحثنا الأوضاع الإقليمية فيما يتعلق بعملية السلام وأهمية الوصول إلى حل شامل وعادل لإنهاء النزاع الفلسطيني الإسرائيلي بموجب مبادرة السلام العربية والقرارات الأمم المتحدة ذات الصلة. تحدثنا عن الأوضاع في لبنان وأملنا في أن تستطيع الأشقاء في لبنان أن يشكلوا حكومة و يكون هناك استقرار سياسي. بحثنا الأوضاع المؤلمة في سوريا وأهمية الوصول إلى حل سلمي مبني على قرار مجلس الأمن 2254، وأهمية إدخال المساعدات الإنسانية للمتضررين في سوريا. العراق طبعا موقف البلدين متطابق فيما يتعلق بأهمية إدخال الإصلاحات الذي تم الاتفاق عليها في عام 2014 لإعطاء كل الطوائف العراقية حقوقها ولضمان وحدة العراق ووحدة أراضيه ووحدة شعبه. بحثنا أيضا الأوضاع في اليمن وأهمية دعم جهود المبعوث الأممي للوصول إلى حل سلمي في اليمن، ونتطلع إلى تحقيق تقدم في هذا المجال. فيما يتعلق بليبيا، بحثنا أهمية تطبيق اتفاقية الصخيرات وأهمية محاولة تقريب المواقف بين الفئات الليبية المختلفة من أجل الوصول إلى حكومة تمثل جميع الأشقاء في ليبيا وتستطيع أن تبني قدراتها الأمنية لتحافظ على أمن واستقرار ليبيا. طبعا بدون شك بحثنا الإرهاب والتعاون القائم بين البلدين والمميز بين البلدين في مواجهة الإرهاب والتطرف، وبحثنا أيضا تدخلات إيران في شؤون دول المنطقة والذي مرفوضة من جميع دول المنطقة. فأنا أعطيتكم بشكل عام ما دار بينا، فكما هو واضح أنه كانت مباحثات تطرقت لأمور عديدة، لأن العلاقات بين البلدين علاقات تاريخية واستراتيجية وعلاقات عميقة، ونحن نقدر ونثمن هذه العلاقة ونسعى لتطويرها وتعزيزها في كافة المجالات. مرة ثانية صديقي وزميلي السيد بوريس جونسون، أرحب بكم في المملكة العربية السعودية، وكما ذكر سيدي خالد محمد الشريفين هذه أول زيارة لمعاليكم، ولكن نتمنى أن لا تكون آخر زيارة. شكرا.
Your hospitality and for the amazing way that we are being treated so far in this is my first trip to Saudi Arabia, and always an education to talk to you, Adil, about international affairs. Today we learn of more terrorist outrages in Cairo, following hard on what has happened in Istanbul. And I think that underscores the need for our two countries to work together and to build on our friendship and our partnership and our security relationship. This is a friendship that goes back over a century to the Treaty of Darien in 1915. And earlier today I had a sense of the history of this relationship when I had an audience with His Majesty King Salman, and we dwelt on the enduring value of this relationship, and he recalled a meeting between his father and Winston Churchill. After all that history, I think it's fair to say that relations between Britain and Saudi Arabia are as close today as they have ever been. And I remember you coming to London, Adol, and talking to me about Saudi Arabia's ambitious Vision 2030 for reform. And we stand ready in the UK to help achieve those exciting goals. This isn't just a relationship based on trade or on security. It's a relationship between peoples. And I'm delighted to say that every year we have about 15,000 Saudi students in London. Very welcome they are. And wonderful contribution to our higher education economy, I may say. And of course, we have large numbers of people who come here to Saudi Arabia, 100,000 a year to make the Hajj and Umrah. And as Ada was just saying, we are so close together on a range of regional issues, including the threat posed by Iran, specifically in Syria and in Yemen. And yesterday you couldn't be there, Adol, because but I think what I said was in line with what you would have said. We had a meeting to discuss the tragic assault on Aleppo in Syria. And I think that discussion proved what we've always said: there is no military solution to this problem. There must be a political solution. We've just had a detailed discussion of all those matters and how we can work together to counter terrorism and the toxic ideology of Daesh and other perversions of Islam. And I should just stress that as far as Yemen is concerned, Britain supports the Saudi-led campaign to restore the legitimate government, and we've continued our dialogue on the conduct of this operation, a detailed dialogue. And of course, we continue, like everybody in this room and around the world, to have a deep concern for the suffering of the people of Yemen, and we all have an obligation to alleviate that suffering. But we, of course, recognize the grave threat posed to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia by that conflict here on your border. Scores of civilians have been killed inside Saudi territory by cross-border fire from Yemen, and the Kingdom, Saudi Arabia, also faces the threat of ballistic missile attack landing here in this territory. And that is intolerable, and of course that is one of the reasons why we must cooperate to ensure the peace and the stability of the entire region. Thank you again, Adol, for your hospitality. Thank you for receiving us with such kindness. I think it's been in the best traditions of Saudi Arabia. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Katie from Reuters. It's good to see you here, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Jubair. It's been quite a while, so it's good to see you again. I have a question for you, sir, about your comments in Rome, which I can remind you of if you're not sure which ones I'm referring to. I'm wondering, first, if you have apologized to the government of Saudi Arabia for anything that you've said. And then I do have a few follow-ups about some of the specifics in those comments, if you don't mind. But if we could start with the apology.
Well, I'm grateful to you, Katie. I'm here to thank you. I'm here to emphasise the friendship that exists between the UK and Saudi Arabia, and I, of course, that is something that is developing and expanding, and it's also fair to say that we believe in a candour in our relationship. But now, if you don't mind, is the time for us to talk about the positive things that we are doing together.
Could I add something to this? Sorry. I think I want to reaffirm what Foreign Secretary Bوريس said about the comments were misconstrued or taken out of context. I believe that Britain's position and Boris's position with regards to the relationship with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has been very consistent and very strong. We've had many, many meetings. He has been consistent and unwavering in his support of the relationship. And I believe that this is consistent with Britain's policy. We saw that in the statements by the Prime Minister in Bahrain. We saw that by the statements of the Foreign Secretary in Bahrain, and we saw that reflected in the statement by the Foreign Office with regards to the comments that were published in the media, and that I do not believe reflect what was actually said.
That's right.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Saddam Trafi. I'm the bureau chief of Arabia TV. And Mr. Johnson, having said that, you are worried about the Iranian threats in the region, and earlier about the similarity about the political stand of Saudi Arabia and Iran, how do you see the clear existence of Iran, a military existence in the region, in countries like Syria, Iraq, and so on?
Well, I think we've got to be very clear about all this. I mean, I'm glad you raised. I mean, just to repeat the point. You know, yes, of course we have conversations, and we have had conversations today about the operation, the conduct of the operation in Yemen. But don't be in no doubt, this is something that is supported by a big coalition. This is a legitimate operation to try to restore the government of Yemen. And you know, my views are on that are well known, and of course we continue to, as Adil has said, we continue to discuss those in a candid way. But when it comes to Iran, you know, it's a very different kind of thing, and we've got to be clear about that. This is we need to be positive, and the JCPOA, I think, does contain the seeds of something that could be really valuable, and we shouldn't throw that away. I really think that, and we should try to build the relationship with Iran, because that's the future. But we should also be very clear-eyed and vigilant about what Iran's role really is in so many places in this region. And I know that that's something that Adil certainly agrees with. And I think we have to make the point to the Iranians that their influence must be exercised by diplomacy and dialogue. That's what I would say, and I hope I'm not sounding excessively diplomatic in putting it that way.
Yes, thank you. If I may, I think we agree with the view that Iran needs to be a responsible member of the community of nations, and that Iran must abide and adhere to international law and international norms and principles. And we hope that we will have the best of relations with Iran based on good neighborliness and non-interference in the affairs of others. But unfortunately, our history with Iran over the last 35 years has been one of death and destruction unleashed upon Saudi Arabia and the countries of this region by the Iranians. It has been a history of a country that supports terrorism, a history of a country that blows up embassies, assassinates diplomats, smuggles weapons into other countries, pushes sectarian policies to destabilize those countries, whether we're looking at Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Bahrain, Yemen, Saudi Arabia even, Kuwait. They tried to stage a coup by smuggling massive amounts of weaponry, whereas the countries of the region have not done anything to cause mischief in Iran or to be aggressive in their behavior towards Iran. We have been on the receiving end of this. And every time we extend our hand in friendship to the Iranians, we get an embassy blown up, we get diplomats assassinated, we get sectarian policies, and then the Iranians say they want to live in peace and be good neighbors to us. We wish they would do this, but they haven't done this for 35 years. And until and unless they do this, they cannot expect to have good ties with the countries of the region. It's that simple. We want to have ties with a country that has a great history and that has tremendous potential, but not if it's at the expense of supporting terrorists, of blowing up embassies, assassinating diplomats, interfering in the affairs of other countries. We know for a fact that Iran has links to Al-Qaeda. These links were established through Imad Mughniya in the 1990s and Osama bin Laden when he was in Sudan. We have repeatedly pointed to the fact that Al-Qaeda's board of directors literally fled from Afghanistan to Iran in 2001, and they have been living there ever since, including Saad bin Laden, Osama bin Laden's son, including Saif al-Adl, who's the head of operations for Al-Qaeda, including the chief propagandist for Al-Qaeda, and including others. And the order to blow up the compounds in Riyadh in 2003 was given by Saif al-Adl when he was in Iran. It's that clear. I mean, it's an open and shut case. We don't have to make insinuations. It's ironic to us that the only country that was not attacked by Al-Qaeda in the region is Iran, because they facilitate, they help them move across borders. And so we go back to the original point I make. If Iran wants to have good relations with the countries of the region, Iran must conduct itself according to the norms of international behavior and standards, the norms of non-interference in the affairs of other countries, and the principles of good neighborliness. And then the door will open for Iran to have the best relations with all of its neighbors.
That's right.
Ahmed Al-Umran, the Wall Street Journal. Minister Jubair, welcome back. Last week, Prime Minister Theresa May was in Bahrain stressing the relationship between the GCC and the UK, while at the same time Mr. Johnson was saying these controversial remarks about Saudi Arabia abusing Islam and playing proxy wars in the region. Are you worried that Saudi Arabia is getting mixed messages from one of your main allies?
Not at all. Sorry, I have a little cold. Not at all. As I mentioned earlier, I have had many, many meetings with my friend and colleague, Boris Johnson. His position has been consistent on the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I have no doubt that his comments, as reported in the press, were misconstrued. If you look at the actual video of what was said, it was not as it was implied in the press. There are no mixed messages that we are getting from Britain. Britain is an ally of Saudi Arabia's. Britain has and Saudi Arabia have enjoyed a long, historic, strategic relationship that extends over 100 years. We don't have any doubt in where Britain stands, and Britain has no doubt in where we stand. And so, like I said, there is no concern on our part about this, and I believe that the Foreign Secretary and the Foreign Office issued statements clarifying what was misconstrued, and I believe that the matter is closed. We have no doubt in where Britain's policy is, and I personally have no doubt in where my colleague and friend stands.
Good, thank you. Yeah, we cleared that up. Thank you.
السلام عليكم. معالي الوزير، سؤالي هو معالي الوزير، سؤالي هو هناك تطابق في الرؤى ما بين المملكة وبريطانيا لمكافحة الإرهاب، وهناك تحالف إسلامي تقوده المملكة ضد الإرهاب. فما هو الدعم الذي ممكن أن تقدمه مملكة بريطانيا للتحالف الإسلامي العسكري؟ سؤالي الآخر، أعلنت رئيسة مجلس الوزراء البريطاني بدعم دولتها لدول مجلس التعاون، فما هي أوجه هذه التعاون، وهل قد تشمل إلغاء الفيزا بين المواطنين الخليجيين ودولة بريطانيا؟ سؤالي لمعالي وزير الخارجية السعودي الأستاذ عادل، كان هناك من المؤمل أن تدرج قائمة الحوثي ضمن قوائم الإرهاب، فلماذا تأخر هذا القرار؟ شكرا.
Well, first, thank you. Can I just say thank you to Adol for pointing out the misconstruction of what I said earlier. But just on the what we're doing together to fight terrorism, it is incredibly important, and I think it's very far-reaching and at many different levels. We have a big intelligence sharing operation. We're working together on cyber. This is of huge importance to both our countries. The spores of terrorism are seeded not just in the Middle East, they're seeded in our country as well. And we have to fight terrorism together. You ask about what are we doing in the GCC, what are we doing to promote cooperation in the Gulf. I just point out, well, there is a big military commitment, and as I said the other day, we're back east of Suez. The UK is back east of Suez in a big way, and we are investing £3 billion in military hardware of one kind or another, in military investments in this region. We are stepping up our trade engagement. You ask about visas. Everybody always asks about visas. It is the single. It's a very flattering thing for the United Kingdom that wherever you go, Adol, the one thing people want to do is they want to come to London, which is a great honour for us. As far as I know, we have
to see Big Ben.
To see Big Ben. Why not? We have a fast track system. We're trying to speed it up, to expedite it for GCC countries. But as I say, it is something that we appreciate very much that people want to come. Finally, what we want to do, obviously, is free trade deals. This is, as some of you may have noticed, that we are in the process of disentangling ourselves from the treaties of the European Union. That doesn't mean we're leaving Europe. We're still going to be committed to Europe. But this is an opportunity now for us to do free trade deals with the GCC. And I think it can be of massive benefit to all our economies.
شكرا على السؤال. فيما يتعلق بدعم بريطانيا للتحالف الإسلامي، بريطانيا كانت من أول الدول اللي تقدمت وعرضت على أنها تتعاون مع التحالف الإسلامي في عدة مجالات، ففي التشاور بينه وبين بريطانيا قائم. فيما يتعلق في دعم بريطانيا لدول مجلس التعاون، أعتقد أن الموقف البريطاني واضح جدا في كلام وزيرة الخارجية، رئيسة الوزراء البريطانية ومعالي وزير الخارجية البريطاني. بالنسبة لموضوع التأشيرات، هذه مواضيع دائما احنا نبحثها مع الدول الصديقة لتسهيل إصدار التأشيرات ولتمديد مدة صلاحية التأشيرات. وبريطانيا الحق يقال كانت من أول الدول التي منحت المواطنين السعوديين تأشيرات لمدى 5 سنوات، والآن يمنحوا تأشيرات على مدى 10 سنوات، والتشاور لا زال مستمر بين وزارات الخارجية في البلدين لمحاولة أن نسهل الأمور بشكل أفضل بإذن الله. فما يوجد لدي شك أنه بالنسبة للنوايا من الطرفين. فيما يتعلق بموضوع الحوثيين وإدراجهم على قائمة الإرهاب، هذه التشاور قائم بين دول مجلس التعاون، وعندما يتخذ القرار سيتم الإعلان، لكن في الوقت الحالي ما فيه إدراج بالنسبة لهم، لكن فيه مشاورات قائمة في هذا الاتجاه. شكرا.
Thank you.